All right, guys, want to talk to you about the sales and production review. Really exciting if you're at this stage of the sales process, you are ready to get and talk to that customer and make that sale. So it's you've already had a site visit, you've already come back and finalized all your information, you've talked to the client about those maybe those additional items that you've had to kind of iron out. Maybe you called a trade partner, talk to them about, maybe a part of the scope that wasn't that you weren't that familiar with or we didn't have some pricing on. So now what's next, right? Well, what's next is sales manager is going to look over the project, and let's just jump right into one that's been reviewed and actually is in contract, so we know it's all complete and they did a good job. Hopefully, we'll see. So I did this one, so hopefully it's good. So the first thing we're looking for, right, is the picture on the front. That's important. People, you want to have that recognition. People want, oh, that's my house. They're going to be logging in. They're going to want to see their house. Um, you're going to want to, maybe that base price isn't pulled in yet, so no big deal there. But let's get right into the nuts and bolts here. Big thing is we're going to go right into specs and selections and make sure each spec and selection is complete. Now we know that there's two types of projects. You have your lender finance and you have your regular cash projects. And so there's two types of admin kind of introduction. So this is a cash job, so we're just going to scroll through and make sure that this is for cash. If it was for a lender financed, there would be a bunch of lender finance, what a HUD consultant is, and all of that stuff would be in here. But this just has the building department and inspections. Talks a little bit about our tiers. So what I like to do is a little trick, if you haven't learned it yet, is these little tabs that tab things down and make things go away. It makes your life a lot easier. The payment schedule, if you're doing an HCA, you're actually not going to have the payment schedule in there. You're not going to have to pull that apart because you're just going to be giving them the report what they've paid for. So you're not going into contract yet. But when you go into contract, you got to fill out the payment schedule, and there'll be a whole other video and some more guidance on that. So we'll do that. This is, it's really important for you guys to be familiar with each part of this. Take time to read it, because when a customer comes up and asks a question, what does this mean? What does that mean? You need to have a quick answer for them so that it shows that you're familiar with the product you're selling. So we're going to jump right in here, right? As we're reviewing it, we're making sure there's obviously numbers, that you put in cost, but we're looking for anything in between the parentheses. This is more on the sales. We're making sure that the parentheses have been filled in and descriptions have been filled in on each one. So really important. The next thing is that in these sections, if it pertains to that there are photos and that there are plans and stuff. So if you want to make sure you're uploading your photos into each specific selection. Not all of them will have them, but for the most part, there should be some before photos in each one. So again, we're scrolling through and we're making sure everything is filled out and it kind of makes sense. So that's kind of the sales review, okay? Now the production review is going to kind of do the same thing. However, they're going to scroll through, look, make sure everything is there. See, make sure that there's the whole 9 yards. It's going to go through quick. See, here's some photos in this section with the new construction window. It's going to show, okay, so why we have that in each section is when we toggle on the trade partner who's going to install this window, they're going to be able to see those photos. If it's in the normal photos, they're not going to really be able to see it. So the key thing is to have the photos in the thing. So now we're moving on to the production review. The production review is actually going to look at your project a little bit differently. You're going to scroll through the same thing, so it's second set of eyes. Then he's going to go into the estimate. The estimate is going to be, once he understands what is going on, or she, depending on who's the production manager, they're going to understand the scope of the work. They're going to read that first general description, and then they're going to look through here in the estimate side and see what we're putting everything in, what we need to buy that project for. So we're going to look at, interior painting, $3,100. They might then be like, okay, let me just check what's included with that. And be like, okay, that sounds good. Popcorn ceiling remover, $2,800, and they're going to go down and make sure that based off of the scope of the work and what we have to buy that project for, that kind of makes sense in their mind. Now, obviously, they haven't been there, so they don't know everything, but it's more of, we're at 83,000, and our typical kitchens with what that is around that bow, or it could be low, and then they're going to look for what's low in these things. So they're going to make sure they go down, and if they see something too low, they'll go in and click on it and say, okay, well, 3 standard light fixtures to be installed in the kitchen at $50 and $100. Okay, that makes sense. So that's what they're looking for. They're looking to make sure that you haven't missed anything. So it takes a bit of time. Where they go line by line, making sure, hey, they're good. There's wood siding in there. I know they're replacing a window, doing a beam, and so on, and going down and seeing, and then they've got their head wrapped around and be like, oh, maybe that's a low price, and then they'll adjust those pricing if we need to, based off of maybe some feedback we just got on another project. So those are the 2 reviews. The reviews are really important for you. It's 2 other people checking and making sure that project can be built and produced, which is obviously the goal here. The customer's not going to be happy unless we actually can get it done. So again, first big things is making sure you have pictures. The second thing is making sure that all your specs and selections are filled out. And then the third is really making sure that you've included everything. And, as we get better and we get more developed, we're trying to eliminate as many of those things that we need to try to remember with checklists and stuff like that. So we want all this stuff in here. We want, make sure all this is filled out. And the descriptions are really good, because descriptions are everything. It avoids any issues with the client, especially miscommunication. So that's going to be the review. The next part, it will go into you're going to you're going to go line by line with the client and go over it with them too. So that's exciting. Thanks, guys.